my skills as a structural engineer can be put in great use, because renewable energy for me now I understand is a future.
I knew I wanted to do something where I could make an impact and have more hands-on experience. The drive to work in an industry where I feel like I'm making a difference and helping either people or our world was big for me.
I knew like renewables was something interesting to me and felt very like purposeful and kind of like leading edge. So just looking around for that, and then found EVS. And to be honest, I got kind of hooked by the podcast.
Oh, wow.
You were paid to say that. All right, Russ has got his hands up. It can only mean one thing. It's another Sounds of Solar podcast. I'm your host today, Christoph Bruhn. On my left is
Russell Hamilton.
And Prahalad
Shivshankaran.
Yeah.
Heyo.
There you go.
What's
That's how
up,
it's done.
gentlemen? How are we doing today?
Amazing.
Good.
Yeah, definitely doing good.
It's good.
Yeah. So, Russ, the big news for you right now is you were just at another race in Florida, right?
I was. I went down. I spent the week in Florida with Jason Daines. Shout out Big Jason Daines, the big dog. He was very hospitable, was a very welcoming guest. We rented a cabin right on
He's
this.
a welcoming host.
Yeah, welcoming host.
You were a...
I'm
what kind of guest were
I'm
you?
a very appreciative guest.
Oh, that's what kind of guest you were.
Very appreciative.
Okay, good,
we
good,
rented
good.
a cabin on Lake Istapoca, which was really cool. We did a couple days of bass fishing. Jason owns a badass bass fishing boat. It was about 75
That's the kind
miles
of bass
an hour.
fishing boat you want.
Dude, it was wild. He just actually. So his boat, you put it in the gear.
Yeah.
It's got a gas pedal. So you just put the foot
you
down.
want that,
It
yeah.
was wild.
Okay.
Anyway, so we did that. Saw some gators. Caught some bass.
I saw one of the photos. It was big bass.
Yeah, and then we went to the 12 Hours of Sebring, which was in Sebring, Florida. Mm-hmm. So for those that don't know, it's a road course. It used to be an old World War II airfield. Mm-hmm. They converted it into a racetrack. I don't know exactly when.
Silverstone in the UK is like that too.
Yep.
Other airstrip.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very similar. Mm-hmm. And so they, I think it's the 37th or I don't remember, 47th year, or I can't remember of this race. It's just one of the endurance races, 12 hours. And so we had 2-day tickets, went the first day, saw some shorter 2 to 3 hour races and just kind of got the lay of the land, and then went back the following day. And, we made about 4 or 5 hours before we went, whew, this Florida heat is a lot. Packed it in, went back to his place and watched the rest of the race from his house.
Yeah.
But it was pretty amazing to be that close. I 2 years ago, I went to the 24 Hours of Daytona. It's the same exact league, so the same exact cars were at both races. And so it was a really cool experience. We walked a couple miles just around the entire track. It's just a shy 4 mile long course. And, these cars are running it in less than 2 minutes and, getting up to speeds of 180, 190, 200 miles an hour. And
That's a lot.
yeah, it was pretty
Is that
intense.
your team jersey?
I did. Yes, I bought this. This is an IMSA, shirt. Got it from Sebring, and definitely recommend anybody that's into racing to go check it out.
Yeah.
Next time we go, we already talked about it. We're going to rent an RV, and we're going to camp right in the infield. And it is a 4-day huge party fest.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild.
Well, I guess we're going to have to do a recording there too.
Yeah.
So,
do it. Yeah.
Well, Proddy, when are you starting your racing career?
I should. I mean, I did one in Dubai. I did go-karting again. Every time I did that, I was just thinking of Russ. And I was like,
Was it the
Russ
Ferrari?
would love this.
Was it the Ferrari themed go-karts?
No, this was in Dubai. This wasn't in the Ferrari World is in Abu Dhabi, but
That's right, Abu Dhabi.
yeah. So, but then this was a go-karting place, and I think a lot of the competitions are held in that spot. So I was like,
Did you have to have like a fire suit or just a helmet?
oh, I had to have the fire suit with the helmet.
So
and
that's
everything.
real. See, that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Wait, you had to put a fire suit on for
Yeah.
this?
That's
Yeah.
legit. You must have been that must have been wild.
It was.
What was
it was
the
an
top
insane.
speed?
I mean, I sucked, to be honest.
Well, you can still hold the pedal to the grip metal, man.
No, but like I think I saw some of the times listed there. It was insane. I think professional folks participate there, so obviously the times are like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was probably the slowest there. So
But what speeds are we talking about so we can understand? Like
Did they tell
50
you
miles an
at all?
hour, more than 50 miles an hour?
probably 50 miles an hour.
Okay.
is-
Okay, that's like about what a
Yeah.
rental cart experience should be like 45 or 50.
45, 50.
Which is a lot.
What's the ones that we went to? They're about 40.
So
45.
if you run, in Minnesota at Stockholm Karting Center, especially I've noticed if you go on the B configuration of that track, you can get, and I was looking at my GPS unit, you can get upwards to almost 50.
And then which configuration did we do?
We did the A configuration, which has that hairpin, but they don't have that little feature in the other one. So you get a long run on the straight, a left and a right that just kind of like slingshots you out of there. So you can full throttle it the whole time, and then use the corner to just kind of like get a little extra.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All technical stuff, which I should have known. Maybe I would have finished faster.
Well, we'll go to the karting track.
We need to do that soon.
to.
Oh, it's coming up, man. Yeah. It's April is coming up. So
is that when it's open?
It opens in April.
Let's do it.
I'll get it on the books. So.
Okay.
Well, we have a interesting, fun little show for you today. We've got 3 young engineers at EVS who have started their career and or at a new position in their career, and they're going to tell us a little bit about their experience, what it was like transitioning from school, now being in the industry for we had one person 2 months, 10 months, and 2 years. So kind of a good example of everything. And well, let's see what they have to say. Let's roll tape. All right, our first guest here is Mr. Franc Pettang. Did I get that right?
Yeah, Franc Pettang, that's correct.
Right, but we just call you Frank though, because our French pronunciation's not so good.
Yeah, it's depend on the accent.
Yeah.
Now you have American accent, you have to say Frank.
Yes.
But in French accent, you have to say Frank.
Yes.
So it depends. So
there's a little more there it's difficult.
I don't mind. So you can say Frank or Frank. So.
Well, welcome to the Sounds of Solar podcast. It's your first time.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
Frank.
you've only been here for 2 months, right?
Yeah, 2 months already.
Wow, and it's gone by like that, right? Just super fast.
Yeah, because we have some good people over there, so the onboarding experience was really smooth, seamless. So I really appreciate that. So 2 months already, and already feel like I'm part of the team.
I know. We work on the same team and
structural engineer. Right?
Structural.
Okay.
Piles. I'm thinking like, it seems like you've always been on the team. I don't know how that's like how it works like that. It's just like it's been 2 months, but it feels like it's been like 3 years.
It was
I don't know how.
It was quick. It was really quick. So, and thank you for that because we have a really kind guy around. So. I really like that so far.
Yeah.
So since my first...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, since my first week, I always feel like special, from the onboarding experience. My first week was really special because we have a lot of out of office gathering.
Yeah.
Like they organize a lot of gathering in a restaurant sponsored by the company. It was so good.
Yeah.
And for people, guys like me, like who are coming from another culture, it's really good to feel that and then to feel welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that helped me to be really, really good over there.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, where did you go to school?
What?
Where did you go to school?
Oh, I got my master's degree at South Dakota School of Mine.
Where's South Dakota School of Mine?
South Dakota School of Mine.
Okay.
It is in South Dakota Rapid City.
Okay, so coming to Eden Prairie wasn't too big of a step for you for the weather change.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It was a big change.
Oh, it was a big change from Rapid City?
It's warmer out there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought like you say coming from Cameroon to Rapid
No.
City.
Well,
Rapid
start there.
City.
Start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You're from you grew up in Cameroon.
Yeah, I grew up on Cameroon.
Yeah.
So I arrived, my journey here in America started in 2023, August 2023. So not less than 2 years. So, and then, it was a big decision, but it was a big step in my life because I wanted to come here in America and learning from one of the best mind in the industry of structural engineering.
Yeah.
So I arrived here, it was a big challenge, but I made it. And now I feel like I found the right company to continue grow as a professional engineer, structural. So yeah.
Did you study engineering in Cameroon as well?
Oh yeah, I have 3 years of experience working in Cameroon.
Okay.
As a project engineer too. But I got a master's degree in Cameroon in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
But somehow I was working in some structural project, steel structural project. So I have some experience working on building, steel building, for commercial supermarket, even gas station canopy. Yeah, I used to design that and manage the construction on site. So that's my experience. But someday I just feel like, the envy to experience nothing, to continue to grow.
So you have a master's in mechanical engineering,
Yeah.
and a master's in structural engineering.
Yeah, right.
That's
now.
really impressive.
He's smart.
That is, Proud of you. He's going to come over to your side eventually with that,
Yeah.
that
Oh, no.
mechanical
I was going to say,
engineering.
we're going to steer you to the design, put you in the design team.
Yep, right.
So, yeah, that's it. So it was really difficult though, but yeah, I have an underdog mentality, so I work hard. So that's it. And then I feel like blessed to feel like be in the right place.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of good people here in EVS coming from different
A lot.
backgrounds.
200
Chris.
of them now.
Yeah.
We just
milestone.
this will be time stamping this a little bit, but yeah, we just crossed 200 employees and at the time of this recording, and that's a pretty big deal because not long ago it was 100 when I started, and
I remember the 100.
it was 50 when you started,
Yeah, it's
probably.
50.
So
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
in
it's kind of
5
a big
years
deal.
we're gonna be 400 or
Who
500.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
So Frank, you're in Cameroon. You're working on steel structures, and you said you wanted to come to the U.S. But that point of leaving South Dakota, you're looking for jobs. Like, what was it about renewable energy EVS that like got you interested in maybe taking a little bit different path or journey, versus the traditional structural side?
Honestly, at the beginning, no. So I didn't really looking for renewable energy, like being in that industry, because I didn't know about that. I didn't know, like, you understand sometimes in TV for politician debate, like renewable energy is the future and something, but I don't know. I didn't know, like, even as a structural engineer, I can have a big impact working in that field.
Neither did I.
Yeah, and think that's the problem. Why being in school, we are learning, while learning the field, like learning structural engineering. In school, we design, when we have assignment, we have project, we are doing mold building, but we are not doing other thing than building. So we only know about building bridges and stuff. But no one teach us about build renewable energy like solar in school. As a structural engineer,
It's too new.
That's the
Partially.
difference. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
So, but engineering is my passion. But after interviewing with you, after understanding like about the position here in EVS, I was surprised. Like I was curious. So to know what is renewable energy, how can I involve my skill as a structural engineer to be part of a renewable project like solar project. So I come here by curiosity. I come out of curiosity, and then I think I will stay by conviction. Because what I kind of see now is some place like my skills as a structural engineer can be put in great use. Because renewable energy for me now, I understand, is the future. I have a funny fact because I kind of learn everything. Of course, the on-body experience here is fast at EVS. We can learn really fast a lot of things. But now I feel like I know a lot of things about solar plant. And I just kind of make some comparison about some project. During my research, during my browsing, I found out that the biggest project that we have, solar plant that we have here in America, the capacity of that project is kind of 863 megawatt. But in my country, in Cameroon, we don't have that kind of huge solar energy, even dam. Like the biggest project that we have in Cameroon, the biggest hydroelectrical dam in Cameroon is kind of 483 megawatt, the biggest, and that can power 3% of the whole city.
Yeah.
So, but here in America, we have some solar project, who have double of the bigger dams, the hydroelectric dam that we have in Cameroon. So only understanding that, I figured like I'm part of something special, something bigger. So working on some solar project that can power a whole city is really something big. And then putting my engineering skills on that make me feel like I'm in the right place.
Yeah, we've got one right now that we're doing. It's going to be the largest. It is the largest project in the country. It's 1.5 gigawatts.
Yeah.
Actually, it's going to be 2 gigawatts when they're said and done. There's going to be an additional 500 megawatts that are going to add to it. So it's pretty amazing to like. I don't even know. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's
that's
three
really
times the
impressive.
hydro project in Cameroon.
Yeah.
Kind of gives you the
It's
scale
kind of free time.
that
So,
things are at.
and that made me think like maybe one day I can start doing that in my own country.
Yeah.
So that drives me that passion.
I'm sure there's a lot of sunlight in Cameroon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot. It's a really
solar is for
outward
everywhere, really. Frank, thank you so much for being on the Sounds of Solar podcast. Any final words?
So, final word would be about like future engineer. So I know the transition from school to real world industry sometimes you feel like we have the great foundation. Like where true learning happens is when like we kind of put everything that we learn in school to a real project. In school we focus more on like project, simulation, theory, but here we focus more on like project capability. Like we have to care more on constructability. We have to care more on a lot of stuff. We have to care more on collaborating for other teams like electrical, BESS, hydrology department, even civil department. So this is something important that we have to know when we are as a new engineer, when we are starting this new world. So we have a strong foundation, but understanding that world is something that we need to experience. And I will encourage deeply other new engineer, even international student, to put some interest in solar energy, especially. I would say renewable energy, but solar energy especially because, I believe like renewable energy is the future, and the world actually investing more on that, and having some engineer who understand design principle, and understand also solar energy capacity. That would be a great place to be. And then,
Wonderful.
let's do that.
There you have it. Wise words for wise man.
Yeah.
Frank, it was great having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we're back with our next guest on the Sounds of Solar podcast, Alyeska Dellinger. Welcome to the Sounds of Solar podcast.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Of course.
Great.
Welcome.
So here you are. You've been at EVS for how long now?
About 10 months.
10 months. And it went
Veteran.
by very quickly.
It went by very quickly, but it kind of, in a way, feels like a veteran. There's a lot of new faces.
I can't remember a time when you didn't work here.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
she
feel like you've
joined
been
our
here-
team,
yeah.
and it feels like she's been here for 2 years now.
Yeah, I feel like you've been here the entire time I've worked here.
How does that
I'm so
work?
glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Could you describe why time doesn't feel real?
Black holes? I
Black
don't know.
holes. There it is. And thank you for being on the Sounds of Solar Pod. No, so you have arrived in this new career, this new job, this new firm, and doing renewable energy. Where did it all start? How did you get to this point now?
It's been a journey for me. It just has for everybody, it's a journey. But I started off with a math degree fresh out of college and went into auditing and insurance companies. Really didn't enjoy it, and mid-COVID quit my job to go back for engineering.
Mm-hmm. Why engineering? Like, what was the impetus there?
I knew I wanted to do something where I could make an impact and have more hands-on experience. And I think the drive to work in an industry where I feel like I'm making a difference and helping either people or our world was big for me, because I didn't have that connection in my previous career. So I went for mechanical engineering and came across EVS at a career fair, and it was kismet.
Are you also School of Mines?
UMN.
Yeah.
One more time?
University of Minnesota.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Okay, you. All right, cool.
And you've lived in the Twin Cities for a minute now, because you grew up not in the Twin Cities, not in Minnesota. Where did you grow up again?
I grew up in Louisiana.
And you don't have an accent.
I ditched that.
You
Yeah.
ditched it, left it in Louisiana. You didn't pick up the Minnesotan accent, though.
I hope not.
Do you want to? No, it sounds
Oofta.
like no.
Oofta.
Oh,
Oofta.
Anyway, that's going to be for a different show. Yeah, we'll have a show of our top 5 Minnesotan accents at EVS.
Oh, that'd be good.
Noah would be up there. Abby
Maddie.
would be up. Maddie, Abby.
Oh, Maddie for sure.
Yeah, they're good.
Abby.
Anyway, so EVS Renewable Energy, and it's good, right? It's great so far.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I've been telling all my friends and family it's the best job I've ever had.
What have been your just general impressions about, like, you know, because you had some experience working in industry previously, and taking that then and arriving now in renewables? Like, what's your high level take on where renewables is, or like your career? Like, what do you think?
I think what has been a really pleasant surprise about renewables is the lack of ego among like the individuals who are working in this industry, or at least that's been my experience at EVS. I think
I would agree.
People are very humble and excited to be learning and adapting to changes to legislation or technology and just looking towards the next thing. And I think that's very exciting to be surrounded by, and very different definitely from the insurance industry. But I worked in med tech during college doing design engineering, and I think it's just a very, very big contrast. And I am very appreciative for it. I think it's a great place to be.
Is this something you studied in school? Was renewable spoken about in school in mechanical engineering, or was it very traditional mechanical subjects?
It was very traditional mechanical. So it has been a big transition to go from, classic mechanical design to more of an electrical focus.
Okay.
What did you think you were going to do when you were in school? Like, did you have an idea of like, oh, I'm going to work on this or that? What was it?
So when I was in school, I was working for a med device company and doing a lot of hands-on testing with devices in a lab. And so I think
personally testing the pacemaker.
Yeah, literally.
Like shocking yourself with it?
Oh.
No, that's what I was thinking. Like, it's like anyway. No, this is.
Yeah, but no.
Yes, but no.
running tests on pacemakers.
Sure.
And so that definitely influenced the picture that I had of my career being such a hands-on involvement. But as soon as I moved towards looking at other opportunities in graduation and what I wanted the rest of my career to look like, I was finding that not a lot of jobs look like that. And if I'm not happy about the environment or the general vibe of the people in that industry, then I need to pivot. So I was definitely looking for something still hands-on, and I think through my interviews, I definitely got from Mike and people like that who I talked to that we're doing a lot of the grunt work a little bit, but then also having opportunities to go out in the field and see what a PV field looks like.
Yeah. Did you interview with Mike McKinney right away?
Did.
You did? Well, Mike McKinney, for our listeners you've already all seen that episode because you're diehards.
And if you haven't, go back.
Go back and check
Excelsior.
it. Yeah. And,
what episode was that? 3? Season 3, episode 3 or 4?
I don't know.
It was the best episode. The best episode.
Well, McKinney is very passionate about renewable energy. But yeah, he's the right person to talk to. He's super passionate about renewables. So like I imagine that was, you can feed off that energy right away, right? So.
Yeah, and he also comes from a mechanical background, so he had.
There you go.
First person experience to tell me that it's all going to be okay.
It's all going to be okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, and he was right.
Yeah. So we talk about some critical thinking.
Yeah.
And, walk us through kind of your critical thinking through a project, and then also kind of talk about the roles that like mentors and senior engineers have kind of played since you've been here for the 10 months.
I think, not to keep bringing Mike up, but he can testify that I ask a lot of questions. And I think my approach to these challenging projects is I usually digest a little bit and I get my whole list of questions, and then, we'll sit in a room for an hour or two and just work through it all so that I can try and, gain as much knowledge through every iteration of a project as I can. And I've definitely tapped people like Prahalad and other engineers on the PVM BESS side. I think asking questions is probably close to my step one, and I think is one of the most valuable things that I can do for myself to help learn. Yeah.
Understanding the why, we've talked about this many times before, is so important, right? We can all do the process where you can learn how to push a button or fill out a form or something like that, but to understand why, the why behind it is really, really important. I think a lot of people lose that, right away because they're so focused on, I need to get this done. Yeah. So I'm just going to do the work, and I'm not even really thinking about what it is. But when you learn the why, then you actually become more efficient, and you can improve the process, and you can improve the design.
It's one of the hardest things about engineering behind a desk or at a computer, essentially, is like you are building something. It's going to get built in real life, but you have to like viscerally understand how it works. Like imagine you're, I don't know, taking apart something like one of Alex's cameras. Right here. We're going to take apart the camera. You're actually working on it, holding it in your hand. You can see how it like goes together, etc. And like you have to have that same kind of like feeling with what we do too. Like
Absolutely.
Here's the panels, they collect power and they push it into the grid. But there's a lot of other stuff in there that like needs to happen, and like it takes time and experience to like really understand how all that comes together, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
So asking questions is like the right approach to that.
Yeah. And you guys put that so well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah. But I think, Chris, what you're talking about, that also like scratches the itch for the hands-on work that I was craving in my career.
Yeah.
And I like being able to have it feel real in front of you, and like physically imagining what the site looks like and what all of the equipment is doing and how it's all connecting is so important to being able to do our work right. Yeah,
it's a big difference going from school to actual like physically building something. That actually teaches you a lot more than actually just reading something off the books. That was my motivation as well before I joined my previous company. I really just wanted hands-on experience. The first thing that they got me to do was build a transformer, wind a transformer.
Yeah. Really?
Whoa.
Till then,
you wound it yourself?
Yes, I did myself.
How'd you do that?
When they told me to wind it, I was like, I don't think I studied this in school.
Wrong answer.
So then I had this Russian guy who was explaining, you have to wound it this way, and do this and do that. And I was like, okay, I guess.
There was a good, if we have time for one more anecdotal story here, one of our colleagues, Nate Wagesback, MPM guy at EVS, he told me a story about him starting out at his first job, and it was like at an industrial steel mill type thing, and the guys in the shop were like, hey, we need to lift this big ass thing, whatever it was. I don't know what it was, huge beam or something. And they're like, so do you think if we weld this on here, we can lift it? And Nate's like, yeah. So I was like, whoa, I better, go back to the office or go to my desk and start calculating something. And then he's like, I finished, and I went back out, and like everything's gone. and the guy said, yeah, we were just messing with you. We know it works. Like, yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, it's like, having the sensibility to be like, that just works. I know that works. Whether it's experience or just like not getting too analytical about it. I don't know what the message is I'm trying to relay here, but there's something about engineering that needs to be, you just need to know, right?
Well, here's my take on it is, and this is what I've talked to a lot of engineers, obviously I'm in the engineering industry, and it came around very untraditional way to become an engineer. But what my take on it is engineering colleges, they really try to prep you to become a professor and not necessarily industry experience. And so a lot of people, I think what you're saying is you get out into the industry, and it's good to have that critical thinking. That is one thing that the schooling does prepare you for, is a critical thinking. But
in theory,
theory,
that's about all it.
Right,
yeah.
But the way that they gear a lot of that towards, at least from my experience, was like anticipating that the majority of the students were going to go on to become a professor. And then most of my professors had no industry
experience, yeah.
Which is, it's fine, but it doesn't really prepare, like you said, to get out and to see like what I'm designing? Is it even? I mean, there's you have the electrician or the builder, and they look at it and they're like, man, I hate engineers because like engineers typically struggle with understanding what the physical component of what they're building.
Exactly, yeah.
So you might engineer something and not your fault necessarily, but you don't understand that doesn't go together that way. How are you going to construct it?
Yeah.
Right. You just have a finished product that this works. And then somebody's like, well, how am I going to build that?
Yeah.
So, and then all engineers, they get that experience over time.
Over time, yeah.
Yeah.
So final question for you. We have a limited amount of time, unfortunately. Standout moments, things. What have been the highlights over the last 10 months? Would you say?
Had to be go-kart racing. Had to be.
Had to be week 1.
You went
go-kart.
karting? You went karting on week 1?
Week
She
1.
joined the perfect time, I think.
Yeah.
That was,
I think my second night was the hot wing challenge.
Did you win? Is that
I
when
didn't-
Logan had the single tear in the eye?
That is when he had the single tear. I did not participate. I didn't want to be the
It's a
girl
lot.
on week 1,
Yeah, it's a lot.
you know,
I don't.
He
Yeah.
was crying.
crying
Yeah.
or worse. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than those moments, of
Yes.
course, I think going to a site, I've only been to one site visit, and it wasn't a project that I designed. It was just like a little DG project in Minnesota, but being able to like walk through a field full of solar panels and, you see the combiner boxes, you see the inverter in the PCS, and, just again, making the connection between what we're looking at on a computer all day and how it comes together in real life. Just, literally put the puzzle pieces together.
Right. A close second to go-karting. Very understandable.
Yeah.
But so Alyeska, thank you so much for being on the Sounds of Solar podcast. We can't wait to have you on again.
Thanks,
Thank you
Alyeska.
for having me.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our final guest today, Mr. Sam Walker. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
Great. Welcome to the Sounds of Solar podcast.
Thank you.
Yes. How's today going?
It's been good. It's in terms of Mondays, not the sleepiest that I've ever been. So
Yeah.
we'll call it a win.
Because you swam this morning.
I did go swimming this
Yo.
morning. Yep.
What events are you competing in your master's swim group?
Well, in my next competition, I will probably be doing some mix of breaststroke and IM. And
What's
some
IM?
relays. That's the individual medley where you do a little bit of each stroke.
interesting.
Yep.
I did not know that you were a
Yeah,
competitive
no.
swimmer.
I mean, yeah, it's not super intense. Like, don't
Wow.
get carried away, but
Wow.
it's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're competing. That's intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Swimming's not,
But this is indoor, right? Or
Yeah, for sure.
Polar plunging in
Yeah,
January.
like
Just
there's
like,
no,
he doesn't
there's
know,
no
it's
water
fair, though.
outside the swimming
That's
right
fair.
now.
Is it Olympic-sized pool?
No, it's short course, so just 25-yard pool. Like what
You go
would
back and
find
forth
in
twice
most
or what?
pools. It's all different lengths. Like
Okay.
there's so many different races. So what I will probably do is like 200 IM, so that's one lap of each stroke, and then commonly is 100 breaststrokes. So that's 2 laps of that.
Rank your favorite strokes.
Ooh. Okay.
and how long can you go underwater? Like how long can you be underwater?
I could make it across the whole pool underwater.
Oh.
I don't know if I could go further than that. Okay, out of the strokes, I would go breaststroke number 1, freestyle number 2, then butterfly, then backstroke. Which
So say that again.
breaststroke, freestyle, butterfly, backstroke.
Okay.
It's probably a
Butterfly
little
over
bit,
backstroke.
Yeah, I know it's probably a little bit controversial. I don't know what it is about backstroke. Most people love it because you can actually like breathe more, but it feels a little.
You don't like breathing, that's why.
Yeah, right.
No.
Just too fit.
What about too fit to quit? That's right. He ain't quitting. What about the Strokes, the band? How do you feel about them?
Oh, I like the Strokes. I mean, they're not like in my top 10 or anything.
They
but
wouldn't make it on
they're,
the IM, the individual medley,
No.
if you had to. I guess there's no more strokes than that for swimming, right?
What are we doing?
Sorry, we're free-forming right
Is this
now.
a band or is this something else?
It's a band.
You wouldn't put the Strokes,
had
the
an
band,
IM
on your list. That's
Okay.
what I'm
If I had
saying.
an IM of 4 different bands, the Strokes would not be one of the 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll save that list for the next podcast.
Okay.
Anyway, Sam, you've been in renewable energy for a little bit now. How long has it been?
Yeah, I am less than a month away from 2 years.
It has not been 2
Wow.
years.
It has been just
2
about.
years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember when he first started.
Yeah.
You
Time
started in the
flies.
structural group, pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah, I am lovingly mostly adopted into the structural group because for the first probably year and a half at EVS, all of my direct teammates were in Colorado or other parts of the country. So all of our in-person events, I would just go tag along with Chris and the structural team. It was a good team to be part of.
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely worse teams to hang out with.
Yeah. Not that they're bad teams at EVS. That's
No, of course not. I was just
Mostly
meaning the
just
structural
Russ,
team's a lot of
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
The best team, though, I mean, the
Probably
one that
studies.
these two are on, forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So why, this is your first gig out of school.
Yep.
How, it's been 2 years. I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, so to be honest, I didn't hugely know what I wanted to do coming out of school. I studied mechanical engineering. Even before going to college, I didn't super know why that was a good fit, but I just felt that engineering kind of fit my skill set from school, I guess. And so, yeah, once I graduated, I was a little scared, to be honest, that I would not be able to find something that felt like a good fit. But I knew renewables was something interesting to me and felt very purposeful and kind of leading edge. So I was just looking around for that and then found EVS. And to be honest, I got kind of hooked by the podcast.
Oh, wow.
You were paid to say
Well,
that.
but let's see.
no.
But let's clarify. Was it the before podcast or
It
is
would've
the
been.
now?
Yeah,
It
it was
would've been.
it was
Before
the
podcast.
Raj and
Yeah.
Kyle
So shout out
podcast.
to Raj.
Raj and
yeah.
Kyle.
Raj
Yeah.
and Kyle.
All right.
And yeah, then I was like, this place seems super cool. And then applied and made it through, and it has just been awesome ever since.
And so much so that they put your face, your handsome bust on the website.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been
Get some royalties on that. Huh?
several people who, either when they start or just people that I've ran into that I knew from school or something that have just been like, hey, I saw your face on the website. I was like, whoa.
Where did you go to
Forgot
school again?
about that. University of Minnesota.
Another U of M. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
All
right.
right. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your involvement in Mencia and kind of how that shaped, the networking and kind of your career.
Yeah.
So yeah, to talk about the Mencia, you had an event here at EVS. Kind enough to ask Chris and I to speak at that event.
Oh, yeah, we did do that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
of
that
you,
was
so,
awesome.
yeah.
So yeah, Mencia, the solar industry group for Minnesota, they just started a young professionals in clean energy group probably a little over a year ago. So shout out to that. It's super fun. If anyone is interested in joining, you can find it on their website. But I joined the planning committee with Mr. Prahalad for a little bit.
Yep.
Um,
I kind of pushed Sam to just take over
yeah.
at some point.
But I think Andy had sent out an email about it at one point, just asking if anyone was interested, and I was kind of like, that seems like a cool way to meet some new people and hang out and get to know some more things. And so I just tried it out, and it was just meeting with these other people from different places in the industry that are all self-proclaimed young professionals. And basically, we just plan a different event every month or two, either to do networking, which is just, hanging out, or to do some sort of professional development, which is the event that we hosted here, where we had people come in and, Chris and Russ spoke about the fundamentals of their respective disciplines, and some other people did the other disciplines too. And so, it's a great way to get to know some more people and to kind of expand, what I know is out there about the industry as a whole, because, we are only one small part of it in our engineering. So
Relationships are everything, and Mencia is a good way to make them.
yeah, 100%.
And so if I heard correctly, the Mencia event that you hosted got the most positive reviews, right? Everybody thought it was the best one that had been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it was the best because, there's been a lot of good ones, but I think the stat we can hang our hat on is it was the second most attended overall and the first most attended out of at least the professional development ones. There was only one other fun networking one that had a couple more people. So it was a good turnout and definitely well received.
Yeah, you did a good job with that.
Well, you guys did awesome presenting. So,
And it's a good opportunity to meet people in the industry, but just do completely different things as well.
Yeah, there was people doing policy there and
Policy
stuff, and I was
yeah,
that's cool. I didn't know people were doing that here.
Yeah, right. It's like I would have no clue about any of that side of things from just being here.
Actually, her name is Alice. You maybe know her too, Alice. I don't know what her last name was. Alice, what's her last name?
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, we met her at the Mencia thing, and then I was out on a run in my neighborhood, and Alice was walking her dog. I was like, "Oh, hey, I met you at Mencia. Now we're meeting in real life.
Yeah.
Now we're friends.
Look how cool that is."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, small world. So Sam, you've been here for 2 years. Can you comment about what have you learned in 2 years of working in industry, working amongst other mentors, other professionals? What have you gained in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, I feel like I came in with an empty cup, right? You come out of school and none of my classwork's really relevant to what we do day to day here I'm not doing calculus at my desk. But
what, you're not?
Yeah, what
are you talking
that's
about?
What they told me to do.
Or at least not, problem 8 from a textbook. So, it's really just been a lot of learning how to learn and, learning how do I interpret this and, when I make this change in our design, how does that impact the people around me? And how does that impact my own design? And trying to be able to see into the future a little bit for, all these things that I'm doing day to day, how is that going to lead us to success in the future and prevent us from running into self-made injuries in the project lifestyle? So I'd say stuff like that, learning how I can make myself more valuable to our team, learning, even just asking my managers, hey, what do we need somebody on our team to be better at, And for example, there's one software that we use that not a ton of people are super familiar with, and they're like, hey, you should learn this, start figuring this out, just so that we have one more person who can deal with it. So yeah, I would say learning how to learn those things, learning how to make myself valuable to the team, and do stuff in the right way so that we can get it done efficiently and well.
And you've been putting time in for standards as well, right? Helping develop processes as well. So
yeah.
So if you want, you can talk about some of those and just how you've come up with it.
Yeah, the standards have been, honestly, it's some of the most fun that I've had. Kind of getting into, it's just creating tools in Excel, using macros, so kind of doing some coding and stuff. And it is a very fun mix of learning some new skills, using ChatGPT to learn how to code in these different things. Mm-hmm. But then also just imagining okay, we do it this way, but how do we think outside the box and do it a little bit differently and do it a little better? It's just a good challenge and a fun to talk to everybody, get everybody's input. So yeah, it's a nice break from the day to day and good way to kind of move us forward and learn something new. Yeah.
Sweet. Sam, 2 more things before you leave. Number one, you also are the reigning EVS ping pong champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Did you beat Paul?
Well, we were definitely missing some key players.
Okay,
so I did not
unless
beat
you
Paul
beat
because he
Paul,
wasn't there.
Then I would
he
say
can
we
beat
can.
Paul,
So,
but it's gonna
I know he can.
Yeah.
I beat Chris in the championship.
So there's
Yep.
an asterisk on there. Okay.
Well, it's just this is the first running of it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so hopefully the next one we can repeat, but we'll see.
Shout out
You
Paul.
can only be shout out to Paul. You can only be the champion if you are at the tournament.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
right.
And then, so that's good to clarify that for our listeners who are also ping pong fans and wondering about these things. Final question, Sam. And since you are the final guest today, you get the softball question.
All right.
If you were giving advice to a new graduate, let's just keep it at a new graduate coming into the industry, renewables or whatever, what would that advice be to them?
Yeah. I think I would just say, going back to my experience, right? Like, be curious, be open-minded, and try, really to understand the, grasp how what you're doing fits into the greater picture, right? Like, it's easy to just say, okay, this is what I'm doing today. I'm going to learn how to do this. But it's, in my experience, pretty difficult to understand how's that going to affect me 3 months from now, when we're 2 phases through this project. So I think just ask lots of questions. Everybody, that works around you is just a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. So I always love, I could rattle off things that I've learned from every one of you guys. And I just think that's a great thing, important thing.
I'd be really curious to hear what you've learned from Russ and me. And Prahalad, probably good things, hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for us on the Sounds of Solar podcast today. Thanks for listening and watching. And do all those things you're supposed to do. Click all the buttons and, share with your friends. We're going viral.